late because I have early banter with Lori, and so it's totally my fault there. But we have a great show today, and it's with Lori Saitz. I met Lori about 4 months ago, and she was telling me I didn't have to work hard, and I don't know what that's about. But I'll tell you a little bit about what I know with Lori, and then I'll have her talk a little bit so she can kind of fill in those gaps so you can get to know her a little better. So we took this information off her website and rewrote some of it and pulled it from some of her profile. But she's the CEO of a company called Zen Rabbit, which is a really nice name. And your domain is zenrabbit.com. So you're like me, you're a networker. You do a lot of strategy. You're also a voiceover artist, and you want to help people not just increase their profitability, but their energy and happiness. And I think happiness is a main goal of what we all want to do because at the end of the day, I always believe that we can make more money, but we can't make more time. I'm a little blurry
Yeah.
here. I'll cut this on and off real quick.
Okay. See if it works better.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe blurry all day. Oh,
That just goes with your mental mood.
probably. It looks super clear on the little one, So
It's
technology.
okay. We
Yeah,
know
it's
what you look
okay.
like.
Yeah. I just kind of like do that. So tell me about yourself and what did I miss, and how are we gonna work less hard and be more profitable?
Yeah, well, that whole idea of not creating, like, not working like you're pushing a rock up a hill all the time.
Hmm.
And, that 24/7 hustle culture, that is not sustainable. It's not healthy and it doesn't bring people joy. Like people will say that it will bring them joy when they reach their goal of whatever that is, like raising capital or,
For short
creating
bursts,
a,
you're saying that it's functional and it's
yeah,
okay, but
right.
for long term, it's very difficult and it burns down your health. Most people
It,
aren't designed for that. I mean, unless you're
no, we're
Elon
not.
Musk or something, I don't know how he does it. He's an
Yeah,
alien. I mean, he's
I agree. He
superhuman.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But most people, I mean, you can do it, but then once like at what cost?
Hmm.
For long sustained periods of time, if you're building a company, you can do it. You can create success. And when we're talking about success, we need to stop and what is your definition of success? Like everybody needs to define that for themselves. Most people accept other people's um definitions of success and try to climb that ladder, and
Hmm.
maybe that's not what is really important to you. Maybe it's not important to you to build a billion-dollar company.
Yeah, I would agree because how much money do you really need to make? You know, for example, I had an IT company before, and I didn't make billions or anything. I made under $1 million a month, a year, and it was a small group. We did gamification, and so it says, "Oh, you're doing great with money and this and that," and I'm like, "No, I really just get a salary and I work really hard for it, because you have to pay the other developers, so you just get a small slice of it, and you do get some perks for your business perks and things like that, what makes your life a little interesting." But when I moved to the LinkedIn marketing space, I realized, if I made 20 or 30K a month, I would be doing a heck of a lot better than making almost $1 million a year because I'm not keeping it. Because in this industry, what I'm doing now, I'm able to keep a good portion of it, like 60, 70% of it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different. And then you also have that ability to have, I don't know if there's a such thing as a work life balance. I really don't know. But it does provide you a different level of sanity, because you can do things that you couldn't do prior, or people that have a typical job can do.
Yeah, well, as you were talking about that other business and then how you changed to be doing the LinkedIn stuff, it reminded me of a coach once said to me
Mhm.
that gross is for vanity, net is for sanity.
it's, a, it's a very good point. That's a very good point. So we met 4 months ago, and I wanted to get you on the show, and really want to kind of hone in and target on how can we, how can we do less work and still come ahead. So working hard all the time may not be the answer. And I had a show actually yesterday, and part of it, and maybe there's some parallels there, but I said, how can you do the least amount of effort that gives you the greatest impact?
Yeah.
So we may be, maybe not. Well, I'll find out in the moment, you know.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch yesterday's show, or I wasn't part of it, so I don't know what was said,
Oh,
but
okay, okay. Well, I was giving you a
it
general. I'm not. It's
yeah,
not about
no, the
yesterday.
whole
I was giving you a general concept of. I think people want to do a lot more with less and a little more precision. You know, instead of the
yeah.
shotgun blast, use a scalpel.
Well, there's yes, absolutely, and there are a couple of things. So one is it's not always about the money, and I don't mean that in that like it's just about doing good in the world. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
sure, we all want to do that.
Hmm.
But it's really about what do you want the money for?
Hmm.
Like what do you want to do with the money? So cuz you could have $1 million and still not be happy, or
Hmm.
you could have all kinds of experiences and be absolutely overjoyed all the time, most of the time. We still have human emotions, but but not need the money because maybe you're getting sponsorships, like, and they're
Hmm.
paying for these so, like, what do you really ultimately want to do? Because it might not take earning millions and millions of dollars if there's other ways to get the things that will bring you joy. Does that make
Right,
sense?
right. Yeah, yeah. And then let's talk about a couple of those things. So let's talk about what you're doing, and then I want you to give ideas on what I'm doing. How about that? So
Sure.
we'll look at intro perspective for you and an outro for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
So how are you doing more impact with less work? And yeah, let's
yeah.
start with that.
Well, what I've been talking about for the past many months is this whole idea of working. You're still working and you still are putting in effort. So you're not like sitting on the sofa waiting for money to come to you and just not working at all. But it's about
Of course.
taking inspired action. Like, what are the right
Mhm.
actions? In Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about the difference between being in motion and taking action. When you're in motion, you're busy. You're always doing something. You could be working 15 or 18 hours a day, but you fall into bed every night and you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. You don't feel like you were productive enough.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you're just doing these filler tasks.
Yeah. And that's just
Yeah,
being
and they're not
busy.
really a task that gets you closer to your goals.
Right. So,
Mhm.
in his definition, when you're taking action, that's when you're moving forward. And so,
Mhm. Mhm.
most people are spending a lot of time in motion. They're spending a lot of time being busy, but they're not actually accomplishing anything. So, what
You
are
know, it's
the
a good point. Why is that? Why are people spending You know what? My gut feeling is it's makes them it's what they're comfortable with.
Mhm. Absolutely,
And
that's
so they
why.
fall in these habits. You have good habits and bad habits. And some of these habits aren't necessarily bad. They're I think people, including myself, have to realize that, well, what worked 6 months ago may not work now.
Yeah. I
And so what worked 6 months ago might have been an action that had a certain result. And so what I've done and what I always do is I go back and I default to what provides value.
Mhm.
And then after I figure out what provides value, or I know it provides value, but I think about that and I think about how can I execute that value. Is it the tone? Is How aggressive should I be? How helpful should I be?
Mhm.
You know, where's my sand drawn in the line? A line drawn in the sand. I always say, I'm like Yoda. I always say things
It's
backwards.
okay. We know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So my attention deficit disorder. All of us adults have it. But and so I said, then I take an approach and I do that A/B testing on there. And so I think that we have to kind of repurpose that. But if we're used to making a lot of money doing something very simple that doesn't work anymore, a lot of people get stuck, and then they end up sitting on the couch, like you said, waiting for the money
Yeah.
that never comes.
Yeah. Yeah. We just had a comment in here from Linda on LinkedIn.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda. About when you get paid by the hour as consultants, it's hard to know what and how to charge for your work if you are not quote unquote doing. And my response to that is I don't think anybody should ever be charging by the hour. What is the
Pay for the
value?
outcome.
I'm sorry? Yeah, for the outcome.
Pay for
What
the
is the
outcome.
value that you're delivering to your clients? How much is it worth to
Oh,
them?
look, I'm in focus now. Look,
Yes, you just came into focus.
automatically after 10 minutes. Thanks, Restream.
Yeah, but I think it's always about charging for the value that you're delivering, and that value
Yeah, I
is
think a lot of the value is perceived. One of the challenges, I'm reflecting on me now because we had time to talk about you, so I'm talking about me now. So,
it is your
one of
show.
one of the challenges that I see is that there's so much noise out there, and there's so much free stuff. All you got to do is this to make $1 zillion. You saw that little commercial on Instagram, right? And it's kind of true. They got all this stuff here. And then when you present something of real value, it's hard to distinguish because they're like overloaded with information.
Mhm.
And I was mentioning I have a mastermind, and I said, you know what? Let me just try to fill seats and help people.
Yeah.
Right. But how do I provide that in a way where the people are not jerking my chain and taking advantage of it? Because it's a $5,000 program. I said, but what do I really need? I said, I need a little traction. And so I come up with a no-brainer offer, and I just started it. So, I'm not expecting too much of it, but it's 30 days to be functional, 90 days to be profitable. And it's about creating our own client acquisition system everywhere. And so what I did was I said, okay, pay me $79 for the seat for that first month. You don't like it, I give your money back, right? And then after that, pay $247 a month. It was really cheap. 2 meetings a week, and it goes through all these different systems. And so I'm trying to meet people halfway, but not be taken advantage. Do you have any advice for anything along those lines?
It's always about providing value, like, the way that you prove to
Mhm.
people that you can help them is by helping them. So, once you start helping them for free, they go, "Hey, this guy's delivered all this value for free. What will I get if I pay him for his mastermind or for
Yeah,
whatever?"
and I think that's something we're doing. Yeah, that's something we do all the time. Provide content all the time. Give great tips. Have testimonials. Because that's the lower end of the dollar spectrum. The higher end is much easier. Actually, it's easier. But what because they already have budgets, they already know how much conversions and all that math and stuff. But the lower end, they're just getting involved. So my idea was that if they knew how everything worked, they could build their own team, or they could just upgrade to whatever's necessary. But anyway, I was just trying to pick your brain on that. Looks like we got Noah here. Um, oh my goodness. They say I talk over you nonstop.
It's okay.
It's all right. Well, please continue.
What were we talking about? About the whole idea of delivering value, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, what is when you go in to deliver a service, for example, for a client, how much money are they going to make by working with you, for example? And I know
Mm-hmm.
you can't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily put a dollar amount on it right away, but what is, what What's the range? What have past clients gotten out of working with you? How much money have
Hmm.
they been able to make?
Yeah. So if you have a case study or a series of case studies, you can really show what are the typical results.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I have videos and testimonials of what they do. And
Mhm.
I think that is one way. How about for the people that are starting out? Say they don't have a bunch of testimonials and things. What are the things that they need to do to kind of prove their actual service? What do you think?
Well, I think it comes down to delivering value, whether that's through workshops or webinars or, uh,
Hmm.
courses, whatever kind of materials you're creating, doing lives like this and delivering
Hmm.
value to people so that they can see how you help people. You know, give them some starter like a starter kit to help
Yeah.
them get a quick win at the beginning.
Hmm.
And if you can help people get quick wins right up front, that's
Yeah,
how
you
they're
earn their
then
trust.
they're
I see.
right, you've earning their trust, they are succeeding, and so then they want more of that. So, for
Yeah.
example, I'm just released a program called Staying Calm in Chaos, and the first session, somebody gets like, you walk away from that first session after 10 minutes, and you're gonna start seeing results right away.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. One thing that I did on the last show is I provided a guide. And if you create a day-to-day process, you can have some quick wins on that.
Mhm.
And so I created a day-to-day process where if you had a small amount of time, you could definitely convert that over pretty quickly. Do you have guides like that? So when you meet with someone on the show, you have very particular things that they could take action to depending on their situation.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what we're talking about, for example,
Mhm.
so I help people my mission in right now in my work in my life is to help the world be more calm and grounded no matter what's going on around them.
And there is a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff going
A lot
on.
of moving pieces, definitely.
Yeah, so how can people stay in this calm and grounded place instead of reacting impulsively like their hair's on fire? And a lot of people live that
Mhm.
way all the time.
Mhm.
So how do you find peace of mind and balance every day regardless of what's going on around you? Because what's happening is happening, but all you can control is you and how you respond to the
Yeah.
situation. And so if you can stay in that place and be calm and grounded, then you can make better decisions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So kind of like being in the now,
Yes.
understanding that these things are happening, but what can I do at that time to move on and proceed on the things that I need to do in order to be successful?
Yes, and that be in the now thing is like, yeah, okay, I get that, but how does that how? How do I do that when everybody, walls are crashing down around me or whatever, crazy people are trying to get my attention. How
Hmm.
do I do that? And one of the things that I always
And the
start for
last
people
one,
is find gratitude for
the last
whatever's going on right now. So if you can find the gratitude, so everything's blowing up, where is the gratitude still? There's some gratitude somewhere.
it's a
Sorry, my daughter has no boundaries. What do you want, baby? Okay, you can take your balloon and go upstairs. I cannot blow your
While
balloons
you're
right now.
talking to
She
her,
wants me to blow. I have to do this while we're doing
all
it,
right, well,
and
I'm
it
gonna
won't
address
stop.
Linda posted another, comment
Let's do that.
about how it's, what's hard work for some people is not hard work for other people, and that's exactly right. That's where
Hmm.
people have to find their zone of genius and do
Yeah.
the things that are easy or enjoyable for you and delegate the rest of the stuff, because when you're working from that place where things are joyful, like it's, um if writing is joyful for you, then that's where you spend your time. And if it's not, then you delegate that and hire somebody else to do that as much as possible.
Yeah. I feel that there's some additional information on it, because sometimes um, your zone of genius may not be something that you always super enjoy. It's just matter of fact things that you're really good at, and um, and I think it's okay sometimes, because these are tasks that may not be repeatable, and they may be not things that you can delegate, and they may be things that are core, And so I always believe in trying to do the things that you have to, so later you can do the things that you want. And so I'm actually a little open to taking tasks that I'm not always good at, because I feel that if I'm not good at it now, I might enjoy it later. Let's
D
take example
I was just gonna ask,
sales.
give me an example because
Yeah.
because if you're just getting better at the things that you aren't really good at, then you have, like,
Mhm.
you're at mediocre instead of really focusing on the things that really bring you joy and becoming fantastic at them.
Oh, I see. So, well, there are things that I'm really good at and enjoy so much that have to be done. But let's say sales, right? I tend
Mhm.
not to like sales. I just tend to help people.
Well,
But
that's what sales is.
well, the closing is a little different. The closing component, no. Well, but I would say that I want to be better at psychology, so I can frame things in a way that I can have better discussions on that one aspect. So,
Okay.
so those are the things that I is not my zone of genius, but I'm open to learn how to make that happen.
Okay.
And I'm open, because that is another end of the communication skill that I do need to grow into. So even if I have other salespeople, I think that a lot of times they want me to sit on that meeting, and I want to
Mhm.
contribute to it. So that's my example.
Okay. So but you could have other people selling for you. You
Sure.
could yeah,
Sure. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
and you could focus on the vision of where your company is going.
Oh yes, eventually, yes, yeah. Of course, I want to remove a lot of the hats that I'm wearing, and I have other people that do different things. But the more that machine is working, the more I can kind of design it that way. And you're absolutely right. But sometimes you can't do all those right away. You know, for
I one of the things that if I could go turn back time is I would have given up a lot more of the things I was doing because I thought I had to be the one doing them and
Mhm,
handed them off to other people so that I could focus on the things that really bring me joy and
mhm,
make the money for the company instead of trying to do all the things. And so what I'm doing now, for
mhm.
example, I host a podcast called Fine is a four-letter word. I have a background in broadcast. I know how to edit. But
Mhm.
have never from episode 1, I had an editor to do it for me
Oh
because
yeah,
it
the
wasn't
time
the
suck.
best use of
Yeah,
my time.
yeah, it's a time suck. Yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah,
yeah.
I can edit, but it's not the best use of my time, so it's about looking at where can you where is the best use of your time? What are the things that only you can do? So for
Right,
me and
right.
now I have a production team doing my podcast, not just an editor. I have people who are doing the promotion and all the things. All I do is record the interviews and
Yeah, it
record the
makes life a
summary and
lot easier.
takeaways because that's
Mhm,
the part that only I can do.
mhm. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I also think that sometimes there are slices of opportunity. So say I'm on, I don't know, a 30-minute meeting. It's a meet and greet, right? And I solve a problem. They say, you know what, I really need this thing. Am I not going to sell it? Am I not going to say, okay, and let's go through the psychology and frame it in a way that really makes sense, because they already want it. You just have to continue that conversation. That's a sales thing, right?
Are
And
you
then
saying they want something that you don't normally provide?
No, no, no. They
Oh,
generally
okay.
want things that I do provide.
Okay, alright. I was
But
confused.
but but typically on a certain dollar amount on sales, you have a two call, an intro and a secondary for sales calls, right? And
Yeah,
so,
some people do.
well, it depends on like the scenario, right? On their budgets, how well they know you, all the math on that. But but typically on a meet and greet, you don't sell, right? You only sell if they say, "I need what you have,"
Uh-huh.
you know.
Okay.
And so if you have a 30-minute window, they may not be at that decision, or they may. So am I going to push it to another meeting? Well, if I have the opportunity to solve their problem right then and there and to actually work with them, I will. And so that takes a skill that I may not be honed into as of yet, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I guess that's what was my scenario. So I look for opportunity, slices of opportunity where I can contribute, but I don't want to do the editing. I don't. Of course, I agree with you. Those are a lot of repeatable tasks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's up to, us to figure out what is your
One
zone of
moment.
genius,
Definitely. One moment, please.
and yeah. So I think it's up to us, I'll just continue talking while he's not here, to figure out your zone of genius and use that, because usually your zone of genius is what brings you the most joy and will eventually then bring you the most money as well, because when you're working in that space, you, energetically, you're at a higher energetic vibration, and when you're at a higher energetic vibration, you are attracting more of those good things to you. I mean, there's science and research behind this. I just kept talking so that
Oh no,
anybody
I
that
was
was
listening
watching
to it and I
would
liked it.
still
I was
be.
just I was delayed to push the button, and I had to have a little talk with my daughter. So
Yeah, I was just
she
talking
tends to
about.
bust in there and like do what I want to do. And so I was like, no, you got to go upstairs while I'm on this show here. So I had to walk her upstairs.
Okay. Well, I was just talking about how, when you're working in your zone of genius and you're working in a place, coming from a place of joy, and
Hmm.
your energetic vibration is higher, and when you're working in a higher energetic vibration, you attract more of the good things to you, and that sounds really woo woo, but there's actually science and research behind it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That does make sense because if the energy and the concepts are simple, they're clear,
Mhm.
and people like clarity,
Mhm.
and clarity is attractive. So
Yes,
that's
yes,
what
it
I
is.
get out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
In fact, that it's so interesting that you say that, because I've been having conversations this week with other people about this whole idea of clarity. And when you have
mhm.
clarity, which most people do not clarity, most people.
Yeah, they just have a lot of cogs in the things happening and stuff, and
Right, and a lot
so
of
it's a little
distraction.
foggy
Right, a
sometimes.
lot of distraction.
Oh, obviously, you see what happened, yeah,
Yeah.
with
Well,
me
right,
today.
but when you have clarity, when you are 100% clear, this is where I'm going, this is what I want to achieve, whatever it is,
Mhm,
and you, like, draw that line in the sand, if you will, and you go, "This is what's happening."
mhm.
The universe conspires to make things happen. I'm not a big fan of that term, but the universe conspires
That's a
to.
good term.
No, but,
Yeah.
well, I think the universe can make things happen, can contribute to things happening. I don't think any one of us can make things happen. That's part of our challenge as humans, especially in our society these days, is that
Mhm.
we want to make things happen.
Oh, so it's more like asking the universe and the universe replying.
Sort of, but that sounds very law of attraction, like, let me just sit here and wait for things to happen again. Like,
Well,
it.
with yeah, you have to sit yourself in the right
But
position, yeah.
but going back to the having clarity, it's like ordering from a restaurant, okay? So you go in and you sit
Mhm,
down, they hand you a menu and you say, "I'd like the egg and cheese muffin."
mhm,
And so the server takes your order and goes back to the kitchen and they're going to deliver you an egg and cheese muffin. But
mhm,
then you're like, "Wait, wait, wait. You know what? I changed my mind. I'd like pancakes." And then
mhm.
they go back to the kitchen and they're putting in the order for pay. Now, you know what? I would rather have, and you keep changing your order. You're not clear on what you would like to have.
Right. And so you never get your order.
Exactly. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. When
Uh-huh.
you are clear and you're like, that's what I would like, they deliver the order to the kitchen, what if you want to call it the universe, whatever, and then it
Hmm.
comes back to you. And it takes varying amounts of time depending on the kitchen, right?
Yeah, yeah, the kitchen,
They may be
synonymous to the
slow, but
business
eventually, yeah.
model.
So
Yeah,
a lot of
I've
people,
learned. Yeah, I learned that I have to be patient on certain things.
yeah.
Um, for example, 1 month ago, I made some shifts, right?
Mhm,
Like on my profile, because I was getting so many meetings. A lot of it was a lot of fluff,
mhm.
so tire kickers type stuff. And I had to say, you know what? I have to be a lot more specific. I can't help everyone.
Right.
And I said, these are the people I help,
Yeah.
and these are the dollar range that I help them in. Like if you make X amount to X amount, I'm actually a good fit.
Yeah.
And I put it on there, and I felt kind of bad at first, and I said, no, I shouldn't. I should be super clear because I can help those individuals.
That's right.
And I made that shift, and the meetings went down from 50 to like 15, but all the meetings were really good.
Exactly. That's
And
what
then you have this
happens.
extra time
Yeah.
to do the other things that you enjoy to do as well.
Absolutely, that's what happens when you get clarity. And as a marketer, I mean, I have a million years of million. I have many years of background in marketing, but you
Yeah.
cannot help everyone. Like anytime you go to a networking function, you talked earlier about how you and I are both so good at networking. You go to a networking function, you ask somebody, who their ideal client is, and they're like, "Well, anyone who ha."
Yeah.
I remember being at an event one time and a woman said, "Anyone who has skin." And if I had been fast enough to respond, I would have said, "Well, my cat has skin. Is she a good client for you?" You
You
know,
should bring your cat to
right?
the
Yeah.
networking. It's this
But
thing.
it's not anyone who, it's when you, like you just said, when you get very specific about who I
Mhm,
can best help, then
mhm,
everything shifts for you and for your clients in terms of the results they're getting.
mhm, mhm. Yep, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, we have to be laser focused on helping. That I don't know if the niche is the right word.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
they say the riches are in the niches, and I think that there's a lot of people that have a lot of skills,
yes,
a lot of skills, and they want to do this or do that, and they end up looking like a flea market.
right.
And so I have an IT background, and I did some large fortune projects and really cool stuff, but I don't put that up front. I put, well, I'm doing two things. You know, I can help you create your own client acquisition system, or I can get you bookings, right? Through an omni channel. Well, it's not important, but, and when they're my client, they said, oh, now I need help with this and this. That's probably a time when I said, yeah, I can support you on that. But I don't really put that up front because it makes everything very cloudy,
Right, right. Well, think
on.
about it. If
Mhm.
you have a condition that requires a cardiologist, for example, you don't want a doctor who does 9 million other things, a general practitioner. You want somebody who's very
Mhm.
specialized in what they do,
Specialized.
specialized. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
the same thing
Yeah.
in
I went to my
anything.
doctor and I asked him, um, yeah, I think I need stem cells. He said, well, we don't do that here. Like, no, that's your best answer. I like, don't you like suggest me to go to somewhere other places? He's like, I don't know. I said, but wouldn't stem cells help me? I said, yeah, I think so. But aren't you a doctor? Like, so I was hoping that they would like give me a recommendation or something. No, you get zero help.
Well, but
it's,
that's not his area of expertise, his or her area of expertise.
it's true. It's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping a suggestion. I know someone that is good, because I always, and I think the problem is I'm a big networking person, and if you have a problem, I have like 25,000 connections or whatever. There's a chance that I might know someone that's trustworthy to solve that problem.
Right. Well, that's not everybody is a networker. Although,
Yeah, that's true.
we're doing our best as to spread that word. I actually believe that your network is your most valuable business and life asset.
Hmm.
And you just proved why it's not just business. It's because in your life, you need a good mechanic, you need a good doctor, you need a good real estate like whatever. It doesn't have to be just in business.
Yeah, I I think since I was a single father, I have made some major shifts, and I say, let me stop helping or hanging around the wrong people,
Mhm.
right? So it could be the wrong client, it could be the people that you meet in life. Is this person providing some value? Is this person trustworthy? Do they have the same ethics, right?
Yeah.
And before I didn't really think about that, uh, and I said, oh, we're cool, we can hang out, and I said, well, this person didn't really have the same like moral structure, and I don't want to be pulled down in that way. So having networking properly is really important, and then you have the opportunity to get solutions or provide solutions to people that you actually like and trust.
Yeah.
And I think that's mentally important. Do you want to work with someone that you kind of don't like? It's kind of difficult,
There's no reason to work with someone you don't like, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know some people will say they don't have a choice, but there is always ultimately a choice. Life is too,
Mhm.
finite, and a lot of people say short, to be
Mhm.
doing something that you don't enjoy. I mean, maybe
Well,
for a
finite's a great word.
very short term,
Mhm.
but not for long
Yeah,
term.
sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get where you need to go. But you're right. It has that's a very finite thing to solve a technical issue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to be living in fine. I mentioned my show is called Fine is a four-letter word. Yeah, no
Mhm.
fine ever. Like, yeah, there's it, it's that's surviving and it's not thriving. And that so coming back to the whole overall theme of this show, which was that hard work equals success, or
Mhm.
that hard work does not equal success, because we've been taught that um, that's what we've been programmed to believe since we were born practically, is that
Yeah.
when you work hard, you will be successful. That's what is required for success. And it's not. Taking inspired action, taking the right actions, that is
Mhm.
required for success. And the other piece that's required for success that most of us have not been programmed properly with is that we need to recharge our batteries. We think,
Mhm.
as high achievers, especially, we think that we'll take a break after we're finished working, after the work is done. But Troy, the work is never done. There's always more to
Never,
do.
ever.
There's always more to do. And so then we never allow ourselves time to recharge our battery. And
Yeah, I always take off like a Saturday, Sunday. I'm thinking I'm gonna get this work done on the weekend. I said, who am I kidding?
right,
I'll say I may do like 2, 3 hours, or that's it on one of the days. And other times, sometimes I just enjoy like washing clothes and cleaning up and going out for a walk and with my daughter and just doing mundane things to recharge my family life or have conversations with good friends.
right.
You have to, because it helps with your sanity, you know,
Yes.
having good conversations, because I think that if you're constantly working, you're going to be in the cycle, and you're going to, how do you say, an island. And it's hard to function with other people if you just lose the ability to communicate well.
Yeah, well, when you're not recharging your battery, and some of those things you said, like doing laundry is not recharging your battery. Those are still chores. But
Oh, not for
but
me.
but hanging out
For
with
me,
your
it's like
like,
it's just peaceful. But
taking
yeah,
walks with your daughter, hanging out with friends, those things that you come back from and you feel lighter and more joyful, that's
yeah.
recharging your battery. It's not necessarily So sitting in front of the TV watching movies and or binge watching, you know, Netflix series, that could be relaxing, but it's not necessarily recharging. They're 2 different
Yeah.
things, and I think that we need
Yeah.
to make that distinction because recharging is fueling yourself with joy.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So what is a joyful act that you can do? So I always think friends,
Yeah.
family, going out and communicating the life part, not all these mechanics that need to happen.
Yeah.
And then having like just human conversations that have nothing to do with anything with you, but maybe you can contribute to a solution in someone's life.
Yeah.
Um,
As you're talking, it just occurred to me that I think the majority I can't think of any. I'm gonna say all, and somebody can come and challenge me. The things that really recharge us are done without our
Mhm.
electronics.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, separation of your electronics is part of my daily, my nightly routine. Like
Yes.
when you turn it off, how do you cut that off? So at 8 or 9 o'clock, I put the phone away. I put the alarm on, but
Mhm,
I put the
mhm.
phone away and I turn it off. And so someone said to me, Troy, if we were dating and I had to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, what would happen? I said, is it life or death? He goes, yeah. I said, you might die because I'm not answering that phone. I'm sorry. Because I'm
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old. When they say old people go to sleep early, old people got it right. They have that right. Yeah, you need your sleep. Especially
Yes.
if you're a cerebral type person.
Yeah.
You know how much calories this thing burns up. Look how big my head is. It's got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff moving in there.
Well, that's
You
a
need to
good
sleep.
point too, though, that time we do need, and I've been reading more and more about the studies and research behind having free time, like time to daydream and be
Mhm.
creative and do
Yeah,
nothing. Like, again, we've been programmed to believe that if you're not 24/7 being productive, then
yeah,
you
the
are
American
a
way.
slacker. Yet,
Yeah.
it is required to give yourself space and time to daydream, to do nothing, to
I
be
call
more
it men call
productive.
it so I'm a single father, so I'm not in a relationship right now. But someone asked me, I think when I was in a race, I was a long-term relation, and she said, so when you're doing nothing, what are you doing? I said, absolutely nothing.
Right.
Like I'm defragging. Like
Yes.
that's a
That's that
defrag
is
is
a great
the old computer
analogy.
thing where
That's a gr
the computer, yeah. So and he goes, really? I did it, and because and I guess she was more of a busy person. I had to like zone out, even if it was for 30
Yeah.
minutes, and to defrag.
Your that example, that phrasing is exactly what's happening in your brain. It's a great analogy, but that is actually what's happening in your brain, and it
Mm.
is required. It's required for success. It's required for productivity, for
I
focus.
copyright that term.
Defragging your brain? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
now
that's the
copyright.
part
Hey,
that
Lisa, my assistant, copyright that for me.
most people don't understand that contributes to
Yeah,
the success, and that's why I say that hard work, this myth around hard work equals success, that people don't
yeah,
allow themselves that downtime or that defragging time or that time because that's the time that actually makes you more productive when you are working.
yeah. So when I had an IT, I would make people go home, and a lot of them don't want to go home because they're like in the middle trying to. You have the developer and then the creative person, right? And they
Yeah.
think they're so different. They're not different. They're same processes, right? And so the developer says, "Oh, the designer has it so easy because he can just draw and stuff." And the designer says the programmer has so easy he can just program it. It's just like you're both giving me the same excuses, but you have to take that break because if they work through the night, there's going to be mistakes, quality of the out
Right.
of the product.
Right. Eh
And yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say that's right, working when you're tired, but when you're in the flow state, which is different, you don't wanna
Mhm.
take a break from the flow state. The flow state's like when the creativity is really the juices are flowing, you wanna get like, it's not tiring, that's actually energizing. But right, when you're just, like, pushing through because
I
you
think a
gotta
lot
get
of
this
people have
done.
a hard time to realize, are they really in the flow state, or they just got this determination to get this thing done, you know? And so they may feel like I'm moving, I'm so close, and you can kind of smell what they're cooking. They're like, no, you're not. You need to just
Right,
you need to take a break and then hit this tomorrow fresh, because
right.
the outcome for me, I always look at the outcome. Um, if this product is not where it needs to be at a certain time and it will be worse, it's better to notify maybe the client saying, okay, we're at the stage here, we're going to readdress these things. And because if we show them something that's broken out of
Mhm.
panic, that's just not a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
your project, you know, they have these 100K projects, $1 million projects and stuff, and you're meeting with the client. What you present has to be on point with those things, or you will not get any other business. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. But when you're in the flow state, you're just everything's everything's working. Like,
hmm
you just feel good, and right, it's different when you're just pushing through to get something done.
yeah, yeah, and you have to realize where you're at. Like seriously, you have to have what do they call it, self accountability or self awareness.
Self-awareness, don't get me
Awareness,
started
that's
on
the word.
that. We definitely well, and that ties into this whole thing of allowing yourself to take time to recharge your battery. When
hmm
you are self-aware enough to understand that you're not a machine. We're
hmm
not designed to hack everything, and, our brains are not hackable. Like, everybody wants the shortcut to getting to wherever they're going so that they can do more in less time. This is kind of the hack, is to take time off, is the hack to getting to to accomplish more. It sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah, yeah. So on one side you have organization, and the other side you have your defragging time. And I think there's a people are keen to try to be really organized, but they're not really thinking on the other end. So it's two sides of the same coin. Without that, it's not really a complete thing there. So yeah, so I think it's just being self-aware where you're at and what you really can do versus being a little delusional. um
Yes.
that's why a lot of people are really bad at time management.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lisa said, LOL, yes.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So unless you're used to time management, you're gonna be terrible at it, because you're thinking, I can do this. And let's just take a IT project for example. I asked the developer, how long does this thing take, this module take, right? So, oh, it takes 20 hours. You can get it done in 20 hours, right? He says, yeah, I'll be complete in 20 hours. I said, is this include you setting up the software? Oh, no, no. Does it include your testing cycle? Oh, no. Does it include for the manager to test? Does it include for the presentation for the client? Yeah. I said, what's the chances of the client, approving this? And so they don't take account of all like real life things that are going to happen. They're just thinking, I said, how much time do you have this week? Well, I'm on this other project. I'm like, so you can't do it in 20 hours. You can do it in 3 weeks. So there's a difference between 20
Some
hours and three
some
weeks.
20 hours picked out of 3 weeks, yes.
Well, no, that 20 hours end up being 80 hours because of the
Right,
other elements. So
right.
time management.
Well, yes, if so in that case, that is a management of time and setting proper expectations.
hmm
But I think when most people talk about time management, they're trying to fit more into the time. Like, if
hmm
I could manage my time better, I could get more done.
hmm
And I'm not a big fan of time management. I believe it's much more an energy management.
Yeah. Also, there's a strategy behind it too. There's certain bits of work that you may be naturally more inclined to do at certain times. There's more cerebral type things. There's more repetitive tasks. When should I do repetitive tasks? Because if you have, for development anyway, usually the most time that's not super efficient is the beginning and the end. And the middle is where they get really efficient because they get into the code, everything's structured, and they're working through it, versus just getting their feet started, building the structure and that sort of thing. And so, if you understood that, oh, if I had a solid 2 or 3 hours for this at this time,
Mhm.
it would be like 6 hours of work that I could do because I would be running with it. And so
Yeah.
I think a lot of those time management things, they, like you said, they're just filling in those blocks of time, and they're not strategizing the best use of that time. And then also the other side of the coin where they need to actually recharge to to, to fill in those gaps. So when you're working on these other things, sometimes you have tunnel vision and you don't have the best solution. And the next day you can say, oh, you know what? We could have did it this way. We can do it this way, and because it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
So I definitely think that management of time is should be more skill based than time blocked alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that make sense, or was I running in circles?
Well, I think it comes back to managing your energy and doing the things that, like if you're like you were saying, if it requires a lot of concentration, you're better at that in the morning, then you're
Mhm.
managing your energy.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. Maybe it's synonymous to what I'm saying. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, yeah. Because how much brain power do you need for repetitive tasks? A lot less.
Less energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, I'll go through these slides really quickly since we built these
Yeah, we
slides.
didn't really talk about anything that's on the slides.
Did we not? I was just going for what you're. So I'm gonna move the slides here so we can kind of see it though. So we know that fine is a 4-letter word. So and you mentioned that before, and so fine is not good enough. It's just you're saying that it's being mediocre. Was that the word you
Mhm.
used?
Yeah,
And
fine is baseline surviving.
yeah, yeah, and to avoid that, we need to I'll say optimize by defragging or having other experiences so we can be a more whole person. And it has to a lot to do with clarity, I would imagine.
Yeah,
And
that's actually the first part of my program is helping people get some clarity
Mhm.
so that they can, uh, make good decisions.
Yeah, so there are okay decisions, good decisions, and great decisions, right? And so for clarity, they can have these choices of different things they're doing, and not all of them are bad. There's some are better than others, and allow them to get where they need to go.
S
In
Some
a
will serve you better than others in the moment. I don't believe there are any wrong decisions. There are
right.
some are better than others,
Mhm,
but there are no wrong decisions, and people get hung up on that, and that's a whole other conversation that we don't have time for,
mhm.
but the fact that there are no wrong decisions. Whatever decision you make is the right one for that moment.
Oh, and clarity helps that. And so when you say
Exactly.
gratitude in business, what do you mean?
Saying thank you to your clients, your employees, your team members.
Mm,
Sharing your gratitude. I mean, gratitude is the highest again, we go back to talking about energetic vibrations.
mhm,
Gratitude is the highest energetic vibration you can achieve with, love and joy. And but but the bottom line in business, gratitude is a differentiating factor because not very many businesses do share their gratitude with
mhm.
their clients or their team members or their employees or their vendors, whoever.
Okay. So it's like more of a bonding communication technique. because
Yes,
when
and
you give gratitude to other people, that generates a conversation and a sync. They sync up and they see eye to eye on that, and they
yeah,
say, okay, this person's working for me, or I'm working for them, and they're appreciating our work and they're acknowledging me as a person, which goes back to the know, like, and trust factor.
right. When you are acknowledging someone, and most people do not get nearly enough acknowledgement in their life. Think about it from your own personal, how often are you told that what you're doing is valuable? Whether
Yeah,
it's in whether, it's business
yeah.
or not business,
Or
like
relationships or
yeah,
friendships or
exactly,
anything, you
exactly.
feel invisible. Yeah.
Right, and
Or
so
you can feel invisible. Yeah.
when you share gratitude with people, you're acknowledging their value.
Yeah. And I think that's one technique that I've been using often as of late. And it's probably because I was a late bloomer, right? Because the type A traits for programmers were very yes or no. It works, it doesn't work, how to fix it, you know? And so I was more geared towards solving the problem. And now we're finding out that's more important to, solve the relationship,
Mhm.
because the relationship will present the problems that you thought was a problem before and it really wasn't. Oh no, this is the real goal. And it's a huge communication. um, what's the opposite of gap? It closes the gap of a
Mhm.
lot of your communication. And in creating any kind of business, you need that, again, clarity that we talk so much of. So gratitude is a component to increase the clarity in certain ways.
Yes.
So, we're just talking about social skills. So we're kind of rolling into the whole social skills to be more effective. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, social 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 skills. I think a lot of people, lost or misplaced their social skills during pandemic
Mhm,
because they
mhm.
didn't need to be around other people, but, they need to find them now that we're back out in the world and we're interacting with other people. But bottom line is that humans are wired to connect interpersonally. And
Yeah.
so
So there's a lot of cabin fever happening that's affecting their ability to communicate.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, cabin fever, I think, is over now, but people are
Yeah.
just not realizing, like, hey, you're out in public. You're interacting with other people. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
go back to that self awareness. You need to become more self aware to not, be walking into people because you're not even noticing that there are other people around in the room.
Yeah, and I've also noticed, I when I go out, I'm very nice, and I realize that some people are angry. So I have to be aware before I say, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, even a, or a compliment, or if I see someone working on something, "Oh, that looks great." Now I have to think about it. I have to be aware of their energy, before I do interaction. And so I think that I was totally unaware of a lot of stuff because I'm just like kind of a happy, lucky go person. And I said, well, that doesn't, maybe they're going through something. And even if you give a comp or you're nice to them, they may react negatively. And I said, oh, it's kind of my fault. I should kind of read a little bit of that before I open my mouth. And so those are some of the things that I'm learning to be a little more effective. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people mean well. And then how
Absolutely.
other people take it is the other part of the equation.
Right, but this is what it comes back to is that we are all responsible for ourselves, we can only change ourselves. I am not
Mhm.
responsible for how you react or respond to me.
Yes, I agree with that. Um, but I think what I was saying was that I agree with what you're saying, but me personally, because I don't think like I think everyone's going to respond well. I should try to read that person before I just go out and offer help or that sort of thing because it's naive of me. And so as an adult, I said, "Oh, that person doesn't want to be talked to, so I shouldn't talk
Well,
to them."
yes, that is the matter of reading other people's energy.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry. I'm like super detailing like certain aspects of this, so my apologies on that. But it was awesome speaking with you. And Lisa, if you can provide Laura's profile link, her website, and the calendar link if people really want to talk to her about, and is it really about getting your energy right and getting clarity and
It's about getting clarity. I mean, my program is you had it on another slide. My program is called F Being Fine.
Mhm,
But I really the other program I mentioned earlier was the Staying Calm in Chaos. And
mhm.
so
You have
get
two
dot
programs. Yeah.
yeah, that wasn't on the thing, but it's get dot stayingcalminchaos.com
Hmm.
is where people can get that. And that is a standalone program so that you don't have to it's not a coaching, like, you have to sign up with
Oh,
me.
I see.
Like, you could just
It's
go buy that
self-pay.
program and implement it yourself, and then the F Being Fine program is where you get to work with me personally.
Oh, so it's a one-on-one and not a group coaching.
It is group.
Oh, it is group.
It
And
is
how?
group, but it's me yeah, it's group, and I'm facilitating.
Oh, understood. And so
Whereas
how long
yeah,
is this program?
it's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks. It's an 8-week program. And, yeah, we talk about the whole F being fine and how to live a more sabbatical life and not work so hard
Mhm.
to succeed, and giving yourself that time to recharge your batteries.
I see. Well, feel free to reach out to her for that. And I'm going to go back on the slide that has her LinkedIn profile and her booking link on it. And feel free to go ahead and reach out to her
Yeah,
and talk about these things, because I think that we all have to work in a way that we want to be better internally, and then we also want to attract better people. So it's really
yeah.
twofold.
Yeah, the best place to reach me I know we just talked about a lot of different places to reach me, but go to zenrabbit.com and all the links for everything are there. That's just the easiest place, so
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, thank
yeah.
you very much. I appreciate it. And if I'll go ahead and end the stream, but if you could hang out for a second, I would appreciate that.
Sure, thanks so much for having me, Troy.
Okay. Thank you.